Point Park baseball earns more conference wins, the Pirates' struggles continue, and a UFC veteran reclaims his title. For the final time this semester and coming at you live, it's time to come on down to Pioneer Sideline. Good evening and welcome to Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Bryn Reese, back for another week of sports news. To start, Point Park baseball played at home in Washington, PA, taking on West Liberty in 2 doubleheaders. They managed to beat out any weather delays over the weekend, and they also managed to successfully beat out the Hilltoppers. Game 1, Javier Cardoso II takes the mound, pitching 5 innings and giving up only 3 runs. Behind the plate, Chris Williams got things going. He went 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs after a single in the second and a home run in the third to drive in 3 runs. Williams also contributed to a massive 7-run inning in the fourth with an RBI single. All 9 starters reached base in the game, and the Pioneers kicked off the weekend with an explosive 13-5 win. Soon after, pitcher Ethan Parker started for Game 2, and he never left. Parker pitched a complete game, giving up only 2 hits and 0 runs. On offense, Omar Murillo and Christian Taveras combined for 5 of the team's 6 RBIs as Point Park's impressive depth led to the team to another win 6-0. Fast forward to Sunday, Game 3 kicked off, and it was Ramon Rodriguez on the mound to prove how powerful this Pioneer pitching staff really is. He proved plenty, pitching 6 innings and recording 6 strikeouts, 4 hits, and 0 runs for the dub. And the power hitters are back on offense as the Pioneers hit 2 home runs in the 5th inning. Taveras recorded the first run of the day with a 2-run homer, and after a few more hits, Joey Paluski hammered a grand slam to lock in the 6-0 win. Entering Game 4, the Pioneers were 1 game shy of the sweep, and Harold Boyce, however, had a tougher time against the Hilltoppers, taking the mound for 3.1 innings, and in that time he gave up 8 hits and 6 runs. To make matters worse, the Pioneers couldn't really rev up on offense, combining for 7 hits but driving in only 4 runs. Then, in the bottom of the 6th, with Point Park at the plate with 1 out, an unexpected turf issue on the mound caused the game to end due to unplayable pitching conditions. The game concluded then and there, awarding West Liberty the 9-4 victory. Although the Pioneers didn't quite get the chance to redeem themselves, Point Park still managed to leave the weekend with 3 crucial conference wins, climbing to the 2nd place spot in the MEC North Division. The Pioneers sit 2 games behind Frostburg State, who they're scheduled to play this weekend. Now to Edmi Idalis for a recap on softball's weekend outings. Edmi?
Thanks, Bryn. Point Park softball had a busy weekend with 2 Mountain East Conference back-to-back doubleheaders, followed by a game on Monday that was postponed from March 30th due to inclement weather. The Pioneers struggled throughout many of the games, with only 1 game being a highlight for them. On Saturday, the Pioneers fell against the University of Charleston, losing the first game 2-8 and the second 1-6. On Sunday, Point Park split the weekend against West Virginia State, starting strong with a Pioneer win. In the first game, Pioneer Alyssa Wall pitched the full 7 innings, with 2 strikeouts, 0 errors, and 5 hits. West Virginia State split the 7 innings between 2 pitchers, Autumn Hall with 4 innings pitched and Kelly Becker with 3. They combined to have 2 strikeouts, 7 errors, and 11 runs. The Pioneers opened the game with 2 runs in the first inning and an RBI by both Melanie Taylor and Mia Arndt. The Pioneers maintained their lead for the following 6 innings, accumulating runs along the way, 2 in the 3rd and 1 in the 4th, 5th, and 7th. The only runs from West Virginia State came in the 1st and 6th inning, leaving the Pioneers with a dominant win of 7-2. The second game on Sunday saw the Pioneers with a devastating loss at 5-0. On Monday, Point Park went face-to-face against Davis and Elkins after the game was postponed a little over 2 weeks ago due to inclement weather. The game was a short one with only 5 innings. Point Park's only run came in the 4th inning, while Davis and Elkins had 9 runs, 3 in the 1st, 1 in the 4th, and 5 in the 5th. The Pioneers lost that match 9-1. Now back to you at the desk, Bryn.
Thanks, Edmi. When we come back, more Point Park sports and local news. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Now reporting on more Point Park sports, Ryan Quinn has an update on track and field's recent meets. Ryan?
Thanks, Bryn. Point Park track and field athletes had two events to compete across in Pennsylvania. The first was the Westminster Invitational in New Wilmington and the Bison Outdoor Classic in Lewisburg. Between the two events, Pioneer athletes broke 3 school records, 6 top 5 finishes, and 2 first-place finishes. Top podium honors were earned by Akeem Mustafa at the Bison Outdoor Classic and Luke McKenna at the Westminster. Mustafa had a 7.35-meter long jump, which is now second in the school record books, and also owned an NCAA provisional mark with his performance. McKenna claimed a time of 33 minutes, 20.85 seconds in the 10,000-meter race. 4 of our 5 top 5 finishes came from these two events too, with senior Maxwell Good placing second with a jump of 6.93 meters and junior Joshua Gosselin with a time of 33 minutes, 41.52 seconds. Rewriting Pioneer history books was Yannick Windelband, Diamond Rush, and David Attram. Windelband broke the recent record in the 3,000-meter steeplechase with his time of 9 minutes, 14.9 seconds, which got him 12th in the event. Rush in the 100-meter dash got the time of 12.09 seconds, which gave her a 10th place finish. Attram's throw in the discus also got himself a 10th place finish, the distance being 39.95 meters. The other top 5 placements belonged to senior Nick Zauler in the javelin throw with a distance of 53.04 meters and fellow senior Stur Kuiper in the 5,000 meter with her time of 18 minutes, 54.1 seconds. Pioneers will have one more event before the MEC Outdoor Track and Field Championships, which will be the Benson Hodge Memorial Invitational at the Pete 3R Track and Field Complex right here in Pittsburgh. Back to you at the desk, Bryn.
Thanks, Ryan. Now that's all for Point Park sports this week, but what's to come in the week ahead? Outdoor track and field begins to wrap up as the men's and women's teams stay in the Steel City to compete in the Benson Hodge Memorial Invitational this weekend. Baseball and softball, however, have some busy weeks ahead of them as softball plays a couple doubleheaders at home against Concord and Glenville State. Meanwhile, baseball sets out to take on the Bobcats, playing 2 doubleheaders against Frostburg State on the road. Get all the news and more on PointParkSports.com and come back in the fall for Sideline's original Point Park Sports Update. Now, for what's happening on the pro level here in the Berg, we have Peyton Celesti joining me at the desk. Peyton?
Thanks, Bryn. Although the Penguins remain stale, missing the NHL playoffs for the 3rd consecutive season, their captain and all-time great center, Sidney Crosby, continues to age like fine wine. In the 10th year of the NHL Players Association poll, Crosby was voted the league's most complete player for the 6th straight year, with 33.81% of the vote. Florida Panthers captain Alexander Barkov once again finished a close second at 30.95%, just 18 votes shy of Crosby. Crosby was also voted the league's smartest player, edging out Tampa Bay Lightning star Nikita Kucherov. Sid and the Penguins have one final regular season game at home against the top-seeded Washington Capitals on Thursday, as Crosby will face longtime rival and the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer, Alexander Ovechkin. The Pirates' quiet offseason has carried over into the first month of the regular season, on and off the field. The Pirates organization faced PR controversy in a matter of days, the first being from the removal of the 21 sign on the Roberto Clemente wall in right field at PNC Park for a Surfside drink ad. Fans' outrage and comments from Roberto Clemente Jr. caused the Pirates organization to remove the drink ad and put the Clemente sign back in its place. Now, during the home opening series, fans noticed something else missing at the ballpark. Bucco bricks that were bought by fans in 1999 to support the Roberto Clemente Foundation were gone, replaced by plain white cement as a result of the new sidewalk repairs. Early last week, the bricks were found in a recycle dump in the reserve township. The team has since said that they plan to recreate the bricks and put them in a permanent display. Pirates owner Bob Nutting issued an apology to a fan in an email saying, quote, "I too was shocked, angered, and disappointed when I saw the images of the bricks haplessly discarded in the scrapyard. That was a mistake. It was disrespectful. It was wrong. I am sorry," end quote. Now, for what's happening on the field, despite their first series win of the season at home against the St. Louis Cardinals, in which it took the Pirates 13 innings to score 2 runs to get the rubber match victory, the offensive struggles carried over to their weekend trip to Cincinnati, where the Pirates were swept at the hands of the Reds in a 3-game series. The offense tallied only 10 hits and 4 runs in the entire series and was shut out by the arm of red-hot Hunter Green in the finale on Sunday. The Pirates' depth in the lineup is extremely significant at the current moment, with several key bats on the injured list, which includes first baseman Spencer Horwitz, second baseman Nick Gonzalez, and catcher Joey Bart. O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds are playing with lingering injuries as well, and catcher Endy Rodriguez was removed from yesterday's win against the Nationals after a ball deflected off his throwing hand behind the plate. The Pirates' offense is at the bottom of the league in several categories. Entering Monday's game, they were hitting a league-worst 184 as a team. According to Codified Baseball, that is the worst average in the first 16 games of a season for a National League team since the 1907 Brooklyn Superbas. The Steelers are wrapping up their top 30 pre-draft visits with 9 days before the NFL draft kicks off. Although the Steelers are more likely to draft a defensive lineman in the first round, they are certainly considering taking a risk in a below-average QB class, with Aaron Rodgers' decision still looming. Colorado quarterback and son of Colorado head coach and NFL legend Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, visited Pittsburgh last week and is one of 5 quarterbacks the Steelers have expressed interest in, and one of 3 possible first-round selections. The other 2 are Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, mostly projected as a day 2 pick, and Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. Both will be in attendance in Green Bay, hoping that their name will be called on night 1. Sanders is most likely to be a top 10 pick, but if he were to fall to pick 21, it's been reported that Mike Tomlin would have a hard time not taking him. Now I am joined by Ryan Thiele to give some thoughts here about the Steelers, and I want to start off with the draft situation. So, like I said in the report, the Steelers are they need to figure out their interior. There's a lot of good defensive linemen, but with this Aaron Rodgers thing, we don't know what's going to happen there. They have Mason Rudolph. Do the Steelers get aggressive and draft a quarterback? Would if you were the GM, would you go after a quarterback, and who are you looking at?
Yes, I will be drafting quarterback first round. I get we have that problems with the interior D-line, or the run game has been terrible on the defense side of the ball. So our best quarterback option, I think, it's not even Jackson Dart. I think Will Howard is our best bet for this quarterback class. I know he doesn't get as much love because he was behind a stacked Ohio State offense, which everyone's throwing against him. I think Will Howard's your best option. He's been, when he was put in stress situation in playoffs, he's shined. When he's put in a stress situation. So any stress situation he didn't do well was Oregon, and that was only in the 3rd game of the season. So you can't judge something for early in the season to something when he grew and played better throughout the season. And his draft comparisons is a familiar quarterback here in Pittsburgh. I saw the thing is draft comparison was Big Ben. I mean, I know that's a high praise for Will Howard,
Yeah.
but I think if you have someone who plays like him, where Mike Tomlin knows how the style of quarterback he is, bring him in, let him shine here.
Well, Will Howard certainly has a later, so you'd be fine with the Steelers taking a defensive lineman and then getting Will Howard later in the draft?
No, I think we should go after the quarterback first. That is our
Okay.
main need on the Steelers is a quarterback. A first round, I get with the D-line, but we still have Cam Hayward. We still have Keanu Bennett. We still have these guys who could help a third or fourth round draft pick get into the NFL. So I think right now our best bet is to get the quarterbacks. That's what our team needs right now.
Now going to the defense, TJ Watt posted that Instagram pic. It's a little cryptic. We don't want to read too much into it. But if they are having contract negotiation problems, do you think it would be the right move for the Steelers to maybe look at offers, see who would be interested in TJ Watt and what draft capital they could get back?
I disagree. I've seen these quote unquote Steeler fans come out and say, yeah, let's get rid of Watt. He's asking too much money. But to be honest, we are under 500 when TJ Watt's not in the lineup. Why give away the piece that helps us win games consistently? Even in the years past where offense has struggled, TJ Watt has scored touchdowns for us, more touchdowns than our offense has. So why get rid of a piece like that? I get the capital is a lot for a player like TJ Watt, but it's just get the contract done and then build around him.
I just think the Steelers have just been stuck in such a mediocre state for such a long time. It might not be such a bad idea to start over, maybe have a down year, get some draft capital, and rebuild a little bit. Because TJ Watt, I mean, he deserves to go and win a playoff game, and I don't see that happening here. All right, thanks, Ryan. When we come back, more breaking news. Stay tuned.
Take them cue and open their mics.
Today marked the 1-year anniversary of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette strike.
Point Park University just hosted a campus-wide meeting.
Plans for the rapid transit bus line are not set to conclude until 2025.
Welcome back. Now let's get into what's happening nationally with Megan Lukic reporting on the Masters this weekend. Megan?
Thanks, Bryn. Golf's most iconic weekend has come and gone, and this year's Masters tournament was nothing short of exciting and historic. Starting things off on Thursday, the first round ended with Justin Rose in the lead, shooting 7 under as he was in search of his first green jacket. Defending champion Scottie Scheffler, last year's runner-up Ludwig Omberg, and Corey Connors all sat in second, 3 strokes back of Rose. Bryson DeChambeau was tied for 5th, shooting 3 under, and 2 double bogeys led Rory McIlroy to finish the round even, sitting tied at 27th. But in the second round, McIlroy began a steady comeback, shooting a 66 on the day and finishing 6 under, tying Connors for 3rd place. DeChambeau also made a significant jump, finishing in 2nd place at 7 under, but it was Rose holding onto his lead and ending the second round at 8 under. The drama really started picking up in round 3 on Saturday, and it was McIlroy finishing the day on top as he shot 2 eagles and 3 birdies to end at 12 under. 5 bogeys for Rose caused him to slip into a tie for 5th place at 5 under. DeChambeau remained in 2nd place at 10 under, finishing the round with a birdie by sinking an insane 48-foot putt, which secured his spot in the final grouping with McIlroy, giving us a rematch of the final round of the 2024 U.S. Open, in which DeChambeau came out on top. The final round was up and down for both McIlroy and DeChambeau. McIlroy started off with a double bogey and a par and lost his lead to DeChambeau for a brief time. But DeChambeau ended up shooting his worst round of the tournament with a 75, including 1 double bogey and 4 bogeys to finish at 7 under. On the 13th hole, McIlroy shot his ball into the water and ended the hole with a double bogey, putting his first Masters win in jeopardy as he was soon tied with Rose. A birdie on hole 18 led Rose to finish the round 11 under. McIlroy had the lead once again after birdies on holes 15 and 17 and just needed a par or better on 18 to secure the victory. But he ended up shooting a bogey, leaving him tied with Rose and sending the tournament into a playoff. Both McIlroy and Rose made it onto the green in 2 shots, but it was McIlroy shooting a birdie on the hole this time, and after 11 long years since his last major win, Rory McIlroy finally won his first green jacket. The Masters victory made McIlroy the 6th golfer in history to complete the career Grand Slam, meaning he has now won all 4 major tournaments. McIlroy summed it all up perfectly following his win, saying, quote, "It's the best day of my golfing life. I've literally made my dreams come true," end quote. Now to Layla Shervan for a report on the current state of the NBA. Layla?
Thanks, Megan. With just 3 games left in the regular season, the Denver Nuggets president, Josh Kroenke, decided to let go of head coach Michael Malone and the team's general manager, Calvin Booth, last Tuesday. This move shocked the league, considering the Nuggets had already guaranteed a 7th consecutive postseason appearance. Kroenke broke his silence on the firing of Malone and Booth and said that he has had this plan in the works since November and stated, quote, "I was really feeling like things weren't headed in the right direction," end quote. Kroenke also released statements on Monday saying that he considered firing Malone and Booth at the All-Star break before the team's 8-game winning streak. He held off his decision to give the team time to settle in, but after Malone's consistent struggle with the team's talented roster and not being able to reach their full potential, this has created a lot of toxicity in the organization and started to make a negative impact on the team. Kroenke also confirmed that he had meetings with both Malone and Booth early in the season in an effort to make the relationship between the two of them work. Kroenke stated, quote, "We had great conversations in those meetings, but I need more when I'm not around. My role is to not necessarily be there on a daily basis. I need people that are policing culture and pushing it forward for me on a daily basis," end quote. Kroenke issued an apology to them in a press conference stating, quote, "They brought us our first championship, helped establish a new culture, new standards that will continue to move on to the future. To be frank, neither of them deserved it, and for that I apologize," end quote. Kroenke appointed David Edelman as an interim coach. Edelman led their team to the win for the last 3 regular season games, securing a consecutive 50-win season. Kroenke also promoted Ben Tenzer to interim general manager for the playoff run. After finishing with a 50-32 record and securing the number 4 seed, the Denver Nuggets will enjoy a home court advantage in the opening round of the 2025 playoffs. They will face the Los Angeles Clippers, who are the 5th seed. Now what happened at the last UFC pay-per-view? Gabe Ebersol has all the info. Gabe?
Thanks, Layla. The Mixed Martial Arts World headquartered in Miami this past weekend for UFC 314. With 13 fights slated, the card saw 8 matchups and by stoppage. Headlined by the showdown for the vacant featherweight title, let's see how the show the fans of Florida witnessed went down. A fight with ample fan hype, Ian Silva extended the undefeated UFC reign of the Fighting Nerds Gym, submitting Bryce Mitchell with a standing ninja choke in the second. Silva was the projected winner of the bout, closing as a -210 favorite. Now 16-2, he picks up his 13th straight win and 15th finish overall. Following was another featherweight clash between seasoned former Bellator champ Patricio Pitbull and former UFC featherweight interim champ Yair Rodriguez. Returning from a 13-month hiatus, the number 5 ranked contender Rodriguez efficiently landed 97 strikes and scored a knockdown on his way to winning all 3 rounds from all 3 judges. Scheduled for his first 5-round bout, lightweight Paddy the Baddy Pimblett didn't even need the time increase in a dominant showing against Iron Mike Chandler. Landing effortlessly on the feet, Pimblett also racked up almost 5 minutes of control time before getting the ground and pound call with some sharp elbows near the end of the 3rd round. Now 7 for 7 in the UFC, it's the 17th finish for the 23-3 contender. An elite performance, his name's now being thrown around with champion Islam Makhachev. In the final scrap, the man from the land down under went to war to reclaim UFC gold. Alexander Volkanovski got knocked down near the end of round 2, but his resilience showed in overcoming Diego Lopez and getting back in the win column after back-to-back losses. Both men threw over 200 strikes, but landing at a 62% clip made certain Alexander the Great led the featherweight belt back to Australia. With the previous reign spanning 5 title defenses, Volk is now a 2-time champ in the division. The next UFC event is Saturday Fight Night in Kansas City, headlined by welterweight contenders Ian Machado Gary and Carlos Prates going at it. That's all for me and the rest of us. Back to you, Bryn.
Thanks, everyone. Next, we discuss the NBA playoffs in our Case of the Week, right after this. Welcome back. With the NBA postseason kicking off this week, it's time to give our predictions. I'm joined by Gabe, Ronan, and making his sideline debut, Colton, to discuss our thoughts. So to kind of start this off, I want to get you guys' who is your favorite for all the playoffs? Who do you have going all the way? We'll start with Gabe.
I mean, my favorite is the Oklahoma City Thunder. They had 68 wins this year, only the second team post-2000 to do that. They had the best point differential in the NBA history. If you take all their single-digit wins and you turn them into losses, they would still be the #1 seed in the West. This team has a clear advantage going forward, and they're my #1 pick.
Yeah.
I would say it's hard not to go with the Celtics just because of the playoff experience and like the experience they have in the finals, like after losing one and now winning one. Like they have a taste of it, and I'm sure they liked it, so I would go with the Celtics. So
I think it's the Lakers just because they're hot already. LeBron, one of the most IQ players in the league. We have Luka that's hungry after coming off of a finals loss. All around, I think that they're a better team.
All right, we're going to go on to who do we think are underdogs for the postseason?
My underdog pick for the postseason, I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks because if they can get to the point where Dame's healthy again, I think they have the star power to upset the Cavs or the Celtics in the East and make a finals run because I think Giannis is the same player that he was when he was making those finals runs. The just narratives aren't around him as much. He's still a hungry player, and I think he could go on 2018 LeBron type of run. He's that caliber player.
I would say the Warriors. If the Warriors can get past the play-in, I mean, they have Steph Curry and now Jimmy Butler. And it's like this team, ever since they got Jimmy Butler, has just elevated, and they've been so much better. And there's so much playoff experience in there, so much experience in general that, like, those young guys surrounded by these vets, I mean, the Warriors are they're the real deal.
I like the Warriors team, but I think that any chance they have rests on their playing game tonight because they need to avoid dropping down to the 8 seed and playing the Thunder in the first round. I don't think they get out of that. But if they do play the Rockets, I like where you're going. They could take that route and make it there maybe.
My sleeper team's the Clippers. Even though they probably will have the hardest playoff run if they do make it, it's like this is the healthiest they've been. Kawhi Leonard, one of the best players in the league when he's healthy. James Harden is like slowly like inching to where his old playoff ways was, 35 points. The Bucks is, of course, because it's just whatever Dame does. If he plays like he plays how he used to, I could see the Bucks making it to the finals.
Yeah. I want to go into now who we think are frauds. Who do we think are just they're not making it far?
My standout fraud team is the Knicks because just speaking out east, they haven't beat the Cavs or the Celtics this year in 7 cracks at it. That's pretty bad, especially when you consider that they, throughout the regular season, play their starters more than any other team. So they're going to be worn down going into this playoff run, so it's going to be that much harder for them to even make it that far in the first place.
Well, as a Knicks fan, I would agree with him. I just think that I think they'll beat the Pistons just because the Pistons don't have a lot of playoff experience and they're young. And obviously MSG is just a crazy environment. So I think the Knicks can make it to the second round, but I would say they're out in the second round. So I would agree with the Knicks just because they don't have the bench to beat teams like the Sixers, or not the Sixers, the Celtics and the Cavs. So.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Gabe, but I think it really could be the Thunder or Houston here. It's just any other teams in the West have experience. And, yeah, the Thunder did have their second-round exits last year, so they are on a little bit of a, lot of weight on their shoulders. But if it's not them, then it is Houston as the frauds. They're in the same spot as the Thunder last year.
So you think the Thunder are frauds just because they haven't done it already?
Not
or do you think it's
necessarily.
anything with
Not
how they're playing
necessarily.
basketball?
It's just I think because there's so many very high-IQ players. Once you go into a 7-game series, you're gonna figure out how to stop other teams. Like if you have LeBron on your team, his IQ is automatically know how to flip anything.
I would agree with you, except for to the point that we've beaten teams by an average of like 15 points this year. So these games aren't even close enough to the point that they're within a flippable range.
And that's what I was going to say. Like,
players.
past the first round, you guys will have a hard, run. And if it's like you guys make it to the finals, I have you guys winning it. Because I don't see any team in the East that has a good enough playoff run to beat any team in the West.
I would disagree. I think our
maybe the Celtics.
I think our hardest bet's going to be the Cavs or the Celtics if we get that far, but that's my opinion.
The Cavs have a very well-rounded team. I think they have to beat a more best basketball team instead of a certain player stepping up. If that makes sense.
I do agree because we've seen them try to take like the Donovan Mitchell hero approach the last few years, and
a lot of other teams in the league have a duo. And it seems like the Cavs and the Thunder and Houston, honestly, they're more of a well-rounded team.
Right.
Yeah. Real quick, before we wrap it up, I'm curious with the play-in games tonight. Right now playing, we have Magic and Hawks. Who do we think is going to win that?
I picked the Hawks to win this game. It's just getting the 8 seed is a very Hawks, or the 7 seed, excuse me, is a very Hawks thing to do, and then just get absolutely decimated next round. So they went 40 and 42. They've been following the same formula for years, so that's where I'm going to see them.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with the Hawks. I mean, they've done the same thing past 2 years, and they have that experience just for the play-in, so I think they can get it done in the play-in.
Yeah, he nailed it. It's like they're literally the definition of mid. Like they're gonna just be that 7th seed and then probably get bounced out first round.
All right, and then super quick, super rapid fire, Warriors, Grizzlies. Who you got? Real quick.
I'm gonna say Warriors. That experience.
Warriors.
I think Warriors, but then I think they're out immediately after. But we'll see. That's all the time we have this week. And this year, be sure to join us next semester at the same Pioneer time, the same Pioneer channel, and the same Pioneer Sideline.